EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 22nd and the 25th of January 2024. Hello, hope you're well as usual. Joining me as usual is the delightfully beautiful, stunning, gorgeous...
All right, calm down.
I want stuff. Ree. Hello, Ree, how are you?
What are you after? What do you want?
What do I want? What am I after? How are you this week, Ree? You all right?
I'm all right, Rob. How are you? Are we
I'm
all good?
right. Yeah, not too
Yeah.
bad. Not too bad. I don't think I really have much to report this week. It's been a fairly standard week. Do you?
No, just got it's all child related with me, isn't it? That is my
Isn't it
life
always? Isn't it
now.
always with you?
I've got a teething toddler this week, so it's all fun and
Oh,
games.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Because your daughter needed more reasons to be angry at life, didn't she?
Yeah. Do you know what, Rob? You paint her a bad picture, actually. I think
I
you've
don't
only
paint her a bad
seen her when
picture.
she's been.
I don't paint her a bad picture, Ree. Let's be fair here.
You've only ever seen her like that, but yeah, no, it's one of the. It's just life, innit?
I only ever see you. I mean, how did you sleep last night? Because usually Thursday nights is when the
Oh,
is when she goes
awful,
well.
awful.
Yeah,
But I
there
just
you
didn't. I
go.
couldn't be bothered to mention it again because it's every
This is what I
week.
mean. This is what I mean. This isn't the picture that I present. This is the picture that you present to me.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, there we are then.
There we
So this week's EastEnders, I'm going to say, was absolutely mad. There was a load of things that drove me a bit insane about EastEnders this week.
Yes, agreed.
Yes, we shall get into it. But yeah, a few characters, put it like this, are not getting a gold star this week, Ree. That's what I will say. Definitely not getting
Agreed.
a gold star this week. Yes, naughty.
Mm.
And we shall find out who will be getting the gold star later on. But let's discuss this week's EastEnders, shall we, Ree?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right then, we'll begin talking about this mad old week. I don't even know where to begin. Should we start with Kim and Howie? Because that was a chapter. That was a chapter of the week all on its own. So Kim,
it's been a funny week actually.
It's
to
been
be
a very
fair, to like structure this.
It's been a bit of a weird week. So Kim last week was all suspicious. We got the impression that she was suspicious of Howie having an affair because she'd smelled like cheap perfume on him. So she collars him this week and tries to get like a bit more information out. Now, fair play, you know, that's the way to do it, I think, in this situation. If you suspect that your boyfriend or your partner is having, you know, is cheating away or, you know, playing away, then you collar him and you ask him, right, okay, so what's going on? Tell me now. You know, rather than just letting it drag out for weeks on end.
I'd be going to cheap perfume shops, asking them for a sample of each one to smell which one it is, then going back and going, right, who is it? Who's wearing Britney Spears Curious? Come on, tell me.
That would be a slightly convoluted way of doing it, but you know what, Ray? That would be a very new way of doing it. Definitely. I can see that happening. So she manages to get out of him that he has been meeting up with this friend called Rory. Now, it doesn't occur to Kim for a second, oh, right, this is Rory who wears cheap perfume, does he? Oh, right, yeah. Because they've very deliberately given him a unisex name, which means that anybody, you know, man and woman can have the name, Rory. And what we discover is that Rory has offered Howie a job opportunity because Howie is missing being a clown. And so, you know, he says that if you were to cut him open, custard pie would spew out from within him.
That's a sight, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a very. I think that there was a scene similar to that in It that was cut out, I believe. So, so he says to Kim, "Right, I tell you what, well, come with me and meet Rory and the gang, and then you can see what we're getting ourselves into here." And now I think Kim goes with him to meet the crew on the that's going to go away on the ship, and I can only describe them as some form of cult. They're an odd bunch.
Do you know what? I don't want to sound harsh saying this, so edit this out if you need to, Rob.
Okay.
Did you not think it were a bit like circus freaks?
Oh, no, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they were just very odd people. Kim got in a fight with a mermaid. The mermaid deserved it, by the way. I thought.
Oh, yeah, she were asking for it, that mermaid.
That mermaid deserved everything she got. There was also a ventriloquist who was actually using his dummy to react in real time to the situation that was going on around him. That was going on.
Yeah.
It was just that it was
just daft.
It was a bit daft. It was a bit silly. And then we meet Rory, who is, I think, I think the impression we were supposed to get of Rory was that she was Kim Mark II, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
this, they had,
definitely.
similar hair to Kim, similar sort of personality,
Clothes, very similar
clothes very similar
clothes.
to Kim. She was basically
Yeah,
Kim Mark II.
yeah.
And Rory's kind of like, "How are we, darling?" And like Kim instantly despises her, which I quite liked. Um, and yeah, and then Kim just kind of is very just sort of like derogatory about everybody there, which I can't really blame her because she feels like she's walked into a madhouse. Like you're going off with this lot for 3 months, yeah? Is that your plan? Yeah, no, very odd. And so and then what we understand from Rory is that she's had a phone call from higher up, basically, to say that marketing and all that kind of thing are having problems, which means that the cruise might not be able to go ahead, so some people might have to be unemployed. And Kim has spent most of her time kind of showing off about her social media influencing and how good she is at marketing. So Rory turns up at the Truman Fox residence and says, "You're just exactly what we need. You can come too." And that's Kim and Howie's exit storyline for the next 3 months. That they've gone off on this mad ship with these insane people, and that's where she's going to be for the next 3 months. Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's one of those, isn't it? Because it added something a little bit daft. And normally in
Did
this
that.
scenario, I feel like
Did that.
they just write in how he's got a job on a cruise and Kim's going with him. At least they've
Yeah.
actually tried to show us how it's led to it, I
Yeah,
guess.
I
Do you know
mean,
what I mean?
did we need all of that just for this exit storyline?
No, but it did have it were a bit of daft. Like I keep saying the word daft, but it was just a bit of daftness. I didn't mind it. It is what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I just just now and again though you'll meet these people in a soap that just don't exist in real life. Like no
Yeah.
ventriloquist on earth, I would like to think, is using his dummy to like go around Asda and sort of like just react to people around him as
Do you
he's
know
doing his
what, Rob?
shopping.
In the degree that we did at uni, do you not think that scene could have quite easily been something
Something
that
that
we
we
would have
wrote.
walked into?
Yeah, something that we wrote or something
Right?
that we
Yeah. It's not
yeah.
that
Yeah.
dissimilar, really. But in defense of this daft storyline, I think that they've decided they needed to show it because obviously Kim's watching Denise struggle later in the week. So they
Yes.
need to show why it is that she's going to exit despite knowing her sister's going through it. Because realistically, Kim would not believe in Denise in the current state that she's in. She's like, "You've been to church. Are you okay?
Yeah,
Like, what's
well,
going on? Like, she
uh,
must be bad if she's going to church. It's
yeah,
so out of
exactly.
character
So,
for her."
do you really think that this solved that problem?
Eh. Yeah, okay. Don't know where I'll go with that point.
Yeah, did that answer that question? Oh,
I
Kim's going to go off
think
with a man who believes that his ventriloquist dummy's an actual real boy. That's why
to
she's left. She
to
realizes
be
that these people
fair,
need her wisdom. Yeah.
maybe actually if they'd have explained it as more of this is a really lucrative deal, she can't
Yeah,
turn down
well,
because it's worth a lot of money. But actually they did the opposite and were like, we haven't got that much money really.
no, it's not really. It's just a
Going on
holiday.
this cruise.
And Kim clearly sees it as a holiday. Now,
Yeah.
Denise isn't the only one that could kind of do with them staying
Yeah.
around. Denzel's quite upset by it.
Mm,
But what we're sort of left with Denzel, it's this really nice situation that I think we're going to be left with, which is going to be Patrick, Denzel, and Yolandi. And I love
yeah.
this because
Hmm.
him and Patrick have always had a really strong relationship. Him and Yolandi are now really sort of building up this nice little relationship. So I like that.
Hmm.
I hopefully that they'll start building on that over the next few months whilst Kim and Howie are away. That's nice. And we'll see what state Kim and Howie return in. Because if you're trapped at sea with some of those nutters, I imagine that it's going to drive you insane. I would think.
Do you think Howie needed to go? Because it would have been a bit more realistic if he
Mm.
stayed. Like, I
Well,
understand how they've written it in because he'd be more likely to get the cruise
well,
job to
they've
start
written them
with.
both out because both of them are actually Howie's doing panto and Kim's doing a play. So
Oh, okay, right, okay, fair
it
enough.
actually worked out quite well. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people doing panto at the minute, and I think people are criticizing the show a little bit at the minute for all of these like exits that have been happening recently. Like Martin and Phil's going to be exiting at some
Bill, yeah,
point soon
Steve
because
McFadden, yeah.
he'll be doing panto at some point, so he's presumably going to bugger off for a little bit at some point. So,
Mm.
but this is just the time of year where that happens. Now, what has been revealed is that next year, or this year rather, running into the 40th, that ain't allowed because it's the 40th and they'll want all the cast there for everything that they want to
Oh,
do.
okay.
So this
Okay,
time
yeah.
next year, we won't be discussing people deciding that they need to go on a respite
Being written
to.
out for Panto.
No characters are going to be buggering off to the Philippines for 3 months whilst they, while they they go off and do a panto. It's going to be everyone's
Oh, right.
sort of
Yeah, I've
sticking
just clicked.
around.
That's why Martin's going to Australia for Michelle's
Yes.
hysterectomy. Right.
Yeah, you don't exit somebody with a reason like that unless it's a kind of
I
necessary
mean,
exit.
to be fair, right, they could have just wrote Kim were going to see an old friend who were ill and how we were
Mm.
going with her or something like that, or a family like the mum or something.
Well, I don't know. We'll
I know
see. But
they're a bit rocky with the mum, but yeah.
well, I do like that. As mad as this whole thing with the ship is, like I say, I do like that. Actually, what it's done is cement the Denzel, Patrick, and Yolandi sort
Yeah.
of trio. So if we have that because of that, then I'm quite
Mm.
happy, and we'll see where
Hmm.
Denzel goes. I hear tell that Denzel is kind of going to have a few little things to be doing over the next few weeks. We're going to be learning a little bit about Denzel. He's got some scenes coming up, so that's nice.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
hopefully that trio will be nice and kind of at the forefront of
Mm.
the story. So that'd be good. But yes, for now, Howie and Kim are all at sea, and they've got away with a cult, a ship cult. I can only describe them as. I hope that she
Yeah.
chucks the mermaid overboard at some point.
Surely the mermaid's been sacked. Although saying that, I'm really surprised that they decided to hire Kim based on what happened.
How desperate was Rory to say, like, oh, this woman that just literally walked in, who nobody had ever met, who walked in and started having a fight with our mermaid. Oh, well, we'll hire you. Yeah, I like your chutzpah. You're hired.
Although maybe, Kim didn't like Rory at first. Maybe Rory instantly loved Kim because she's like, she's great. She's a bit of
Yeah.
me.
They liked each other by the end of the week, didn't they? They were
Yeah, they
quite
did
keen
by
on
the
each other
end.
by
Yeah.
then. I
Yeah.
think it's because Rory recognised Kim's incredible marketing potential. Kim was like, "Well, this
Yes,
clearly
of
is a woman of
course.
great discretion and integrity." I understand.
I want to know how many followers Kim's actually got because she's really bigging herself up here.
She really is. I would expect at least 1 million.
1 mil?
I think she'd have to. I mean, maybe beating
I'm
us.
thinking 40K.
Yeah, only just below us then. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that would
Yeah, only a little bit. Only a
only a
little
little
bit.
bit. Right, so there we are then. That's Howie and Kim. We won't be seeing them for a few months, and we'll see what happens to them and how we leave Denzel, and so we'll see what goes on there as the weeks go on. Right, that, ladies and gentlemen, was one mad segment of the week. We shall now move on to talking about Gina and Dean. What I would say this week's main issue was, I think, is characters just making really, really bad decisions. Okay, like it just seemed to be,
Hmm.
especially the women, just go. Like, I saw some
All
complaints
right,
this
Rob,
week.
calm
No,
down.
no, no, no,
Calm
no, no.
down.
No. I saw some complaints this week, right? That the men are being like overly toxic and everything. Like these villainous men that have been established as villains are being like really, really more toxic than ever before, and that the show is encouraging that. Okay, but I would argue, actually, what happened was the men were just being as man-like as they'd always been. Like, I don't think the men changed character all that much this week, but it was the women that sort of seemed to accommodate their behaviour by making these really bad
Oh,
decisions. Do you know what I mean?
so you're victim blaming. I've
Yes,
got
that'll
it,
be
Rob.
it. Yes, that'll be it. I'm victim blaming. No, but someone like Kat, for example,
No,
going with
but
Nish, even when she's just been told that Nish is
like,
like tried to have
no,
Eve
to be
killed,
fair, I
and she was
can't
like,
defend that. I can't defend that. You've literally been told. To be honest, I actually think it was very out of character for Kat to have gone
I
down, like
kind
to have
of,
still done that,
well,
despite
I
being
don't
told
know.
what she was told.
I don't, well, should we talk about Cat now then? That's not what we were planning
Yeah,
to
go
do
on
here. But
then.
let's
Oh
talk.
no, wait, I thought
Let's
we were
go.
talking. Oh yeah,
No,
sorry.
let's go crazy, Reed. This is our podcast. We could do what we
We're in
like. Let's go
Rome.
crazy. Let's go
Okay.
Rome. Let's talk about Cat now, right? Okay. So, Cat was, I think, the biggest criminal of this week. Gina, by the end of the week, seemed to have seen sense. Okay, but
Hmm.
Cat, I don't know where this came from. So she was told in quite explicit detail this week, right? He tried to have Eve killed. All right, he took her to the woods and he tried to have her killed, and she's basically like, "Well, everyone makes mistakes." It's like, where has this come from? Like,
What did he say now when she questioned Nish on it? He said it was an
it was a
act of
moment of madness. It was a moment of anger.
madness out of love or
Yeah, it was
something.
a moment of just
Oh
pure
well.
and utter rage. And Cat was like,
It's
"Oh
just
right, well,
passionate, Cat.
that's
That's what
fine.
she read
Yeah, that's
into
all it
that.
is."
Passionate, green tick.
Passionate. Yeah,
Yep, no red flags here. No.
Suki was lucky to have him. It's like, it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you sort of look
Oh.
at Cat's history and sort of think, right, okay, so let's see if this is based on anything. So you think of someone like Derek, who she went with for a bit when she was with Alfie. And then you look at Michael Moon, who she went with for a bit. So it's not like she hasn't
True.
got. It's not like she hasn't got a history of going. I mean, arguably Phil in himself isn't exactly an angel, is he?
Yeah.
So you could argue, I guess, that there's a bit of a history with Kat and these really sort of bad news men, but her reasoning for it this week basically seemed to be, well,
Mm.
I've just come out of a relationship because I was cheated on, and Nish has just come out of a relationship because he was cheated on. So us cheated on victims need to stick together. Seemed to
Yeah,
be her logic.
that was the angle, weren't it? Because
Yeah.
actually, now you're saying it, if you think about it, maybe she's a bit desensitized to this kind of behavior because of Phil. Because you could
Mm.
imagine him being like, "Well, I tried to get someone killed off because they tried to sleep with my missus." So
Yeah. And it's not beyond the realms of Phil to do something like that, in all
no.
fairness.
And Kat be like, "Oh, honestly, Phil, what you doing?"
Yeah, I mean,
But
it was
then
quite
but then
frustrating.
when Stacey's warning her off
Yeah.
Nish
Like, out of anybody, Kat should be listening to Stacey. Like,
and
Stacey should be
Eve, I feel
somebody.
like she'd listen to Eve as
Yeah.
well.
Like, I
Mm,
get that her and Suki don't exactly see eye to eye, especially when Suki's going around describing Kat's kids as, and I quote, feral.
yeah, true. That got her back up, didn't it?
Yeah, which understandable. But I just I was really confused by Kat's motivations this week, and it was
Mhm.
quite frustrating to watch at times because
Yeah.
she was literally just sort of flanking Nish at every given opportunity, sort of standing there like a Rottweiler, as was described at her at some point, and that literally was quite an apt description of what her behaviour was like. She was just sticking
Yeah.
by Nish, whatever happened. She wasn't bothered what she got told
Yeah.
about him. She was like, yeah, well, that happens. Yeah, well, we've both been cheated on, so I see where he's coming from. That doesn't make sense, Kat. Come on.
No, you don't. It's I don't know. It's like they're both just a rebound for each other, but
Rebound,
yeah,
more like a ricochet.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
and they did end up sleeping together this week.
Which
In
oh my god, we did not need that
I
scene. That
can't
was so
decide.
uncomfortable. Is that just
I
me?
I
I
can't
don't like these
decide.
scenes at the best of times,
I know. Well,
but
I can't decide what was worse to watch: the Phil and Emma kissing scene or the Nish and Kat kissing scene.
Nish and Cat, I think
Was it? Do you
actually, which
reckon
I
that was
weirdly
worse?
wouldn't.
Well, to be
Yeah.
fair, Phil and Emma didn't actually kiss. They just sort of bumped their heads together quite a lot. And
I don't want I don't want to say anything bad about the actors at all, but it
but
felt so awkward
but
that I almost felt like they were like, this is weird themselves. Do you know what I
well,
mean?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to like put it in Kat's head. Like, right, so we know Kat's right. Okay, so we know Kat goes off the rails a little bit when she's hurting. Okay, and
Yeah.
when Kat's hurting, history tells us that she becomes Kat the total slag. That's sort of her
Sorry.
position, isn't it? Though, like
Yeah.
that's what she does, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether that still works with a woman in her 50s, to be honest. Does that still work with Kat doing this
I
now?
don't think does slaggery have an age limit, Rob?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you, Ray. Does it?
No, I don't think it
Be
does.
a slag whatever age you want, yeah?
Yeah, if that's what
Okay.
you want to be.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
In which case, then I look forward to my
Not
60s.
that we're calling her that. We're
No.
referring to the fact that she's called herself that in the
She
past. We're
many
not
times,
saying.
hasn't she? Many times, and that's
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
a total slag. It became a meme for
Yeah,
God's
it's
sake,
her.
a
You should,
meme. You
yeah.
can't say if it became a meme, then we're allowed to say it.
Yeah, we're
Um.
not, but I'm just
Anyway,
tread
but
carefully. We've got to tread carefully, Rob.
but but yeah, a cat's behaviour very very odd this week. But it seemed to sort of encourage Nish because he's now got this friend because he has given Kat this flat that she's now moved into across the road with the boys, so that she's now out of the Slater household, and he's basically given her this house with a few months free rent just till she gets herself back on her feet again.
Mm.
She goes on a date with Nish. Phil sees. And the two of them are at loggerheads again. And Kat basically says, right, well, I'm going to drain you of every penny you possess of that I can get my hands on. So this is going to be quite a messy process, we're led to believe, this divorce, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking like it. Although I don't, no, because they're married, so she's got quite a few rights. I would have thought if there's been no prenup, then
Yeah, well, I don't know, because it's like she kind of pointed out this week that a lot of her money has been tied up in these sort of
mm,
joint businesses. So this is going to be a nightmare trying to sort of extract herself and her own personal assets from this
how much money did
arrangement.
she have to have money?
I
Do you know what
can't
I mean?
imagine.
Or is it what
Before
she's
Phil came
made
along,
whilst? Yeah,
Before Phil came along, Kat wouldn't have had that much money because she's never been
no,
until she got with Phil. She's never been, flush with money. I mean, I think
Yeah.
probably the richest she's ever was when she won the lottery and booked it off to Ireland for a few months and then came back
Just
again
thinking
skint.
that. We don't
You
talk
know,
about that,
no,
Redwater.
don't talk about Redwater. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just I can imagine this is going to be quite a messy affair, sort of sorting out all these divorce proceedings, unless they just get back together again.
Do you think her and Nish are going to go somewhere now, though, that this has happened?
Well, I got the impression this week with Nish and Kat because they had that scene in the restaurant after they'd kind of slept together, and they were sort of talking about it. And the scene sort of ended with Kat going, "It blew some cobwebs away, didn't it?" And then they sort of seemed to have this sort of understanding, sort of smile and nod together, which to me
Yeah, but
implied
with
that they weren't
Nish,
going to do it again.
yeah, but I don't think Nish is that kind of guy, do you? I
Oh,
can't
he's
imagine
not, but
him just
she
leaving
is.
it there.
Kat's got
Yeah,
it
I can
out.
see
Kat's
that.
Kat's
Yeah.
got that out of her system now, so Kat's fine now. She's ready for battle again now. But what you think that maybe Nish might get a little bit attached?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe not, but that's the impression I'm getting. And then there's going to be a Phil and Nish war over Cat or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I could say I got the impression that the pair of them had said, "Right, we've done that. All right, that's that. We
Okay.
we got that out of the system. Blew the cobwebs away. Let's go on with our lives now." Was the impression that I got. I may be wrong, but just that scene seemed to suggest that.
But I just don't understand why do it at all then.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Do you know what I
this is the other
mean?
thing. It just I don't
She's not gonna
know.
get she's not gonna get pregnant, is she?
No, surely not.
Surely not, said
Surely
Sharon and
not.
Denise.
Cat Panasar, is that coming? Cat Panasar, that's got a ring to it, hasn't it?
It's
Yeah.
not that bad actually.
Cat
Yeah.
Panasar. That rolls off his tongue worryingly well. So, meanwhile, Nish, now he's got a cat lay under his belt, he is more focused on extracting as much revenge as he can on Suki. Now, Suki kind of is in the process of thinking, right, well, surely I've got the upper hand here because I just want to kind of a clean divorce from him. He's got the cat, so I need to keep that. But surely there's no way that I can lose that much, is there? Is there? Except that Nish is one
Yeah.
step ahead of her because Suki's friend turns up this week. Now, I can't be bless Suki. You know I love Suki. I didn't. I can't be the only one surprised that she's got friends outside the square.
Yeah, that's true actually,
You
yeah.
know?
Well, it's a good Wara friend, so it's probably just somebody that she sees
Yes.
when she's there, and obviously
Well,
that's why she came along, because she's not seen her for a
well, I
while,
think
she
it's
said.
established. It's established very much that it's a community. It's you know
Yeah,
it's a very community
yeah,
based thing, isn't it? Yes. So we meet Barminda, who is at the Gurdwara and asks, or Gurdwara.
good Wara, I thought.
Gurdwara, yeah, Gurdwara. It's a place for Sikhs to partake in congregational worship. I googled. Yes, I like
Yeah,
it
so
when
it's like
I
a,
love it when
yeah,
they do stuff like this. That I get to learn stuff. It's really really interesting. And she's basically Barminda basically turns around and says, "Oh, Suki, I've not seen you in absolutely ages. How's Nish? How's your marriage going? How is everything?" Really nice moment in the Vic where like Barminda's literally kind of in the middle of speaking. She goes, "Yeah, I've left him. All right, I've left him. Stop asking me
yeah,
questions. I've left
yeah,
him."
yeah,
And then kind of realizes that she's in an awkward position. Um, and sort of gives the impression to Barminda that because Nish was away for a while, it sort of drove them apart, and
yeah,
marriage stuff happens, and it's just made it impossible. So later, Barminda sees Nish and gives him her ultimate sympathy for what he's going through. Says, "Oh, marriage needs work, doesn't it? It's very difficult, very, very difficult marriage." So Nish takes this as a hint to invite Suki around under the pretense that they're going to have a perfectly amicable discussion about the divorce settlement. Uh, and he's invited the Guyani over. And Suki's like, what the hell are you doing here? What am I supposed to do with this? And Nish outs her to the Guyani. I couldn't believe this.
yeah.
This was outrageous. So he outs her, and she now is absolutely terrified that everybody at the Gurdwara, is that right? Gurdwara, sorry, is going to know what's going on in her private life. So she's kind of rightfully terrified about this. Basically, Nish is using what he hopes is the homophobia of the Sikh community to get at Suki.
Yeah, and I think he knew that she weren't ready to come
Well,
out so
yeah.
publicly to everyone at the Gurdwara. So that's just another, typical on-brand Nish thing to do to try and shame her, isn't it?
Mm,
Because that's what he's trying to do. He
yeah.
knew that she weren't ready. It's another form of him getting some kind of revenge on her.
Mm.
You know, who knows? Suki might have been ready in a few weeks' time, and she could have done it at her own pace, done it under her own, under
Yeah,
her own control, but instead she's had it taken off her because
yeah,
Nish has decided to out her straight away. I
exactly.
mean, this dynamic did remind me a little bit of go on, Zainab
Okay.
and Bushra. I couldn't
Oh
remember their
yes,
names for
yes,
a
yes, yes, yes,
second.
yes. I mean,
In the community there, that
Barminder
kind
seems
of
like a nicer
feeling.
person than Bushra.
A lot nicer, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah, yeah,
nicer. Don't
yeah.
get me wrong, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. Do you know what would be interesting? Is to see her at the Gurdwara. She was on about taking
Well,
Eve. So if she was on
this
about
is
taking Eve, she was
yeah. I'd like to see this. This
contemplating
is
coming out on her own terms at some
yeah. So
point, right?
I got the impression that this is going to happen. This is
Yeah,
something
I hope
not for
so.
a while, I suspect, but we might get it
Yeah,
at some point. This will be sort of
yeah.
the ultimate moment where Suki comes out. I think when when
Mm,
she takes Eve to the Gurdwara and sort of introduces Eve as her partner, and then sort
yeah.
of takes the reaction as or how
Mm.
it comes. So that will be, I think, the ultimate Suki
Did
coming out moment.
did Nish say that in Sikhism they don't, what's the word, tolerate
Well, I
homosexuality?
think
Is
that's
that what
his
he said?
assumption. He basically tries to tell the Gayani this. Like basically tries to tell the Gayani how to
Yeah.
suck eggs, essentially. And he's like, well, because the Sikh religion doesn't tolerate homosexuality, does it, Gayani? No, no, no. And the Gayani's literally kind of like, well, we don't do that much hatred either, to be honest with you. So if this is what you
Mm.
are, then this is what you are.
My impression of Sikhism, I do remember doing it at school in
hmm
RE.
hmm
And my impression is always that they are, without slamming any other religions out there, but the one of the kindest ones
Right,
in
yes.
this in that they're the most accepting
Seem to
and that
be.
they're the most willing to help and things
Yeah.
like that. So maybe it won't be as bad as Suki's expecting. I don't know. Maybe we'll get that impression from things.
You always imagine the worst possible reception in them
Yeah.
coming out to whoever you're coming
Ah,
out to. All right,
right.
or especially if you, because Suki has spent a lot of her time being quite internally homophobic, hasn't she? Like hating herself.
Mm,
We had some really nice scenes with Suki this week where she was talking about like she's only just starting to like herself again. She's getting to grips with who she is. She's getting to grips with what she is and how this affects her life. So I think this is actually a real week of growth for Suki because she's quite happy now. She's not scared of Nish anymore. She's happy to just take him on, horns bared, bring it on. She actually says to him at one point, "Bring it on," which I loved.
mm,
Great little moment for Suki. Really good stuff. Um, so yeah, that I think is still to come. Nish, meanwhile, is sort of floating around the six a little bit, isn't she? He's trying to get information out
mm.
of Linda. He's trying to get information out of Denise, basically using the most fragile women in the six sort of setup to try and get some sort of info as to what exactly happened to him on Christmas Day, because something to him clearly doesn't smell right. So he
Yeah,
tries to
and he
go on.
walked in on that conversation, didn't he, between Suki and Linda, where Linda say you can't give him the calf, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get
Yeah,
it under any circumstance." And then he's
yeah.
like,
Why do you want the calf? Of
"Alarm
all the
bells! Why do you
things.
want the calf so much?" Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, by the end of the week, he's sort of kind of like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna find out. Okay,
Mm,
so you can screw off trying to. I don't care about any of the businesses, but I will find out why you want the calf.
mm,
So I I've said that this feels like a 40th anniversary reveal thing. That's this body being kind of unearthed, but is it gonna last that long?
I honestly don't know. I don't know because, like, when you first said that and they just cemented the body, I was like, "Oh no, builders are they're gonna dig it up next week. It's all gonna be revealed straight away." But I don't know. Although perhaps, oh no, because Nish was in a coma. I'm gonna say, could it backfire on Nish if he keeps the calf, and then they'll assume that he got rid of the body there or something.
Well,
Actually,
I
that
mean
could still
that could work in their
happen.
favor. That could work in their favor.
Mm. Oh no, Denise's necklace is there though.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that won't work in their favor at all.
Unless they say that he planted it for some reason or
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because also I think
mm.
I do wonder if at some point Denise pretending to be Linda is going to come back and bite her at some point.
Didn't they just no, because didn't they just say that she did that because Keanu told her to or something?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, 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 yeah,
She's
that's
I
true.
think she already got a way out of that one and said,
Oh, that's
"Oh,
true.
it
Yeah,
because he was
yeah.
still in there and that's why I had to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
it."
yeah. Oh,
And
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Well,
surprised the police haven't picked apart their story a little bit more though.
Warford Police,
I don't know why I'm saying
Warford
it. I don't know why I'm
Police.
saying it. Yeah, it's Walford Police. Yeah,
Just
all
like
right.
Warford General are absolute miracle workers, whereas
Oh, fantastic.
somebody's in a coma for 2 weeks, and then a couple of weeks later is having amazing tantric sex with Kat. Anything's possible if you step into Warford General. It's like a Pokemon Center. Step in there, all is well. Just as likely, the Warford police are going to completely and utterly miss any blatant evidence that's lying there right in front of them. Okay. So yeah, some interesting stuff with this. The cat stuff, I'll see where this goes. I feel like Kat's direction is a little bit kind of questionable at the moment. I'm sort of wondering where they're going with Kat.
I'm wondering this, right? But there's been so many things that I've questioned that they've been doing like over Christmas, and they've had a plan for everything. So
Yeah,
I'm just putting my trust in Clenners
I'm
that
not.
he knows
Yeah,
what he's doing. To be honest,
I'm not dismissing anything at the moment. All right, I'm just
mm,
sort of. I just kind of thought that Kat, especially Kat as a character this week, felt quite frustrating in the
yeah,
sense that she was being presented with things that she really should have been objecting to. I
mm,
didn't believe that she would be told what went on with Nish and Eve, and then basically imply, well, just because I've had my partner have an affair and he's had his partner have an affair, that means we are spiritually linked, so I must stand by him. I don't believe that. But
it is. Yeah, there's something just done. Yeah, it just all seems a bit out of character for Kat. This.
yeah.
Not it's the not believing Stacey and Eve that I'm just like, no, she would
I don't even know
believe
I
them.
don't even know she didn't believe them. I just don't think she cared.
True. And her and Eve
Because he
suddenly hate
confessed to
each
it, didn't he?
other.
Because he confessed to it, didn't he? He was like, yeah, that did
Yeah,
happen, but I was just angry. And she's like, oh, well, fair
yeah.
enough. I
Oh,
understand
well,
that.
yeah. Well,
No,
mate, yeah,
screw
mate.
that.
I mean, Kat's not tried to have Emma killed off, has she, sir? Could she not have been a bit
Not
like,
yet.
well,
Not
well,
yet.
there's time, yeah.
There's time
Nish,
yet.
you know you tried to do that with Eve. Can you do me a
Whereabouts in the
favour,
woods was
actually?
whereabouts in the woods was this? So you're saying that that grave hasn't actually been filled, so it's all it's ready to be dug,
Oh,
yeah? Throw
near
in
the
that.
tree that's got sixth carved into it. Right, I'll
Yeah.
go looking for it.
Did that mean anything, by the way, when we discovered
I
that? Did
don't
that?
know.
I don't think it did,
No,
did
I'm
it? I
telling
don't
you,
think
just
it
a
did.
producer
Just
having
to
a laugh
wind us
that
up.
day.
Just to wind us
Yeah,
up.
just to wind us.
Why I order. Why I order. Oh, there we are then. Right, okay. So that was one sort of mad storyline, which I think evolved into something quite nice with Suki, and the Suki side of things worked really nicely. Nish being still around. What do we think? I mean, I'm amazed that Nish is still alive and sort of trotting around and still causing his drama. I don't mind Nish being around at the moment because he's a very good villain.
Mm, I'm wondering, I'm more concerned now, is he going to keep pushing Denise and she's going
Mm.
to confess to him? Because Denise has been very,
Denise is holding on by her fingertips at the minute, isn't she?
yes, yeah. And I think that Nish has spotted it already. Is he just going to
Mm.
start harassing her
Well,
somehow?
he spotted that Denise is seeming fragile. He spotted that Linda is fragile.
Linda, of course,
I
yeah.
think he will zone in more on Linda, if I'm honest, because
Okay,
even though we know that Denise is the one that hit him, he doesn't know that yet, and actually he's got no reason to
true.
know that because because even if he remembered everything that went on, his back was turned when Denise hit him. So there's no
This is what
reason.
I don't get anyway. He didn't see you
Yeah,
actually hit him,
no,
so it doesn't.
I think actually what he's assuming is that it was Suki that hit him
Yeah. But then
somehow.
they've all told him that she brought him back to life, so why would she have done that?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But is it
maybe
you just don't believe that?
maybe he doesn't believe that, or maybe that he
Mm,
thinks that she did that to get herself out of trouble or
mm.
something. So I think he's got a kind of vague idea about what might have gone on Christmas Day. I don't think he doesn't believe the Keanu story all that much because he doesn't remember anything about Keanu whatsoever, and he's claiming that he remembers more and more each day without actually being able to tell us what those memories that keep coming back to him are every single day. Really, he's sort of
Well,
just
he said, didn't
implying that he remembers more stuff.
but that's what he said at the end, didn't he? When Suki then turned around, like went back to him and said, "Right, I'll take the deal," because
Mm.
the five, as I'm going to call them, by the way, the
Yeah,
five convinced her that that's what she
yeah,
should do.
yeah.
Then he said, "Well, actually, I didn't really remember that much, but now you've told me that something's gone on. Because why would you just accept everything?"
Mm.
And the one thing said she's gone back to him and been like, "You can have everything, but just leave me the
Just
calf."
not the calf. Can I have the calf, please? All right. Yeah,
Because
she's
you know
not.
that that little dead
Yeah,
body that's buried under
yeah.
there.
I
I
need
don't
that
want to know
building. So
about that.
don't.
Yeah,
That building that I keep kicking off about whenever you're anywhere near it. Just leave me that, and don't ask me any
yeah.
questions. Just leave me that building. You can have everything else. Just leave me the calf. Yeah, they're not playing it too carefully, are they? I think it's not going to take long for Nish to
No.
start to put the pieces together. Which kind of makes me wonder now what Nish is, because still you've got to say that Nish is a character with a shelf life, surely. So where I've been saying this for about 2 years
Well,
now, it
what's his
feels like.
sell-by date there, Rob?
I don't
Because
know.
some things can be preserved and they can
Yeah,
last for a couple of years if they've got
Nish
enough
has been put in
sugar
the
in them.
yeah, Nif has been put in the freezer.
So
If you put him in the freezer, you can have them forever. So
So
Who
this
knows?
shelf life from
Yeah, it
now,
doesn't really work anymore.
I do know what you're saying though. I totally get it because I am surprised that he is walking around as blatant as he is right now.
We're nearly in
Like,
February. I did not think he was still going to be here come February.
no. So I'm wondering if they're going to somehow set him up for Keanu's because
That's
at a
what I was
certain
wondering.
stage,
Yeah.
surely forensics won't be able to pinpoint exactly what day Keanu died.
No, of course not.
But it's Denise's necklace that I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
how
the
they'll get
bugger.
around that.
That's the bugger, isn't it? We'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see. We have many, many questions, which I'm assuming are going to be answered at some point in the coming weeks, but we shall have to wait and see. So that was that storyline. The other little bit of insanity was Gina and Dean. We will now actually discuss Gina and Dean. So on to Gina and Dean now, and thank God Gina seemed to see sense by the end of the week. Although, arguably, again, it wasn't through anything that anybody had told her. It literally seemed like she just sort of sat down, had a bit of a think, and then came to the conclusion that everybody had been telling her for the entire week anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Just
Well, I think Dean was being a little bit pushy, weren't he? He's like,
yeah, he
"Oh, I've made you
was.
dinner,
Yeah, he
so
was.
take your pants off," kind of thing.
Basically, yeah. Basically, that was his insinuation, wasn't it? Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah.
where that was going, and I think she picked up on that. Thank God.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because I was like, "Oh, come on, Gina. Come on. You're smarter than this, right?"
yeah. Well, this is the thing, and still throughout the week, I was still sort of clinging to the idea that she might be stringing him along to kind of get an ultimate confession out of him. There was still sort of that
No.
little gem, just because of how it was going. I've kind of thought, surely she's not being taken in by all this.
Although maybe she might now do that. Maybe before it was genuine, and now she might decide,
Maybe.
actually, if you're going to
Yeah,
keep. So who
maybe.
knows? Maybe she might try and take that angle instead.
I mean, it was an interesting sort of character study for Dean this week because they start the week off kind of secretly meeting up.
Mm. Oh
And
God,
this whole
I thought it only just came out this
yeah,
week. That's
all this
crazy.
week, Ree, I know.
What a
A lot
week it's
happened. A
been.
lot happened this week, didn't it? A lot happened this week.
Yeah, didn't it?
So at the start of the week, they're still having like these little secret meetups. So they meet down an alleyway. Jay sees them. So you sort of get the impression, right, this is now going to start to sort of
Yeah.
unravel quite quickly, isn't it? So Jay turns around to Gina and is kind of like, "What are you doing, love? Honestly, pull yourself together. What's going on there?" And I think like every single time that Gina kind of has a conversation with Dean with anybody, she's sort of there is a moment where she's sort of like, I'm kind of unsure actually. Really nice moment when Amy sees her in McClunky's, where they're sort of having this conversation. And Amy's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, you do realise that he tried to rape my mum, yeah?" And really cleverly done by Amy, I thought, when she ran away. My mum was like you, yeah. She was strong, she was feisty, she was independent, she wasn't an idiot. So like, to be taken in by someone like that, yeah. So take the hint. I liked that with Amy. I thought that was really well handled.
I think that was one of the main factors that got Gina thinking, actually,
I think it
Amy
was
saying
Amy. I
that to
think it was
her.
Amy that sort of
Yeah.
pushed her forward with it. Yeah.
Because I think Gina's been thinking all this time, oh, look at Drunk Linda. She's bought into that because Dean's painted that picture as well. Drunk Linda's making things up again. She was clearly hammered, didn't know what was going on, kind of thing, or we can't take her word.
Mm-hmm.
Then to hear, which again, we know that's problematic because why would she not believe Linda? But then to hear Amy talk about her mum and go, hang on, there's two women who said it there. I forgot about Roxy saying it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
This isn't new
Maybe something
information
doesn't
to her,
add
though,
up
is it?
there.
This isn't new
It's
information to
not,
her.
but it were almost a
I
reminder, I think.
Do you know what I feel like the problem with this actually has been? And unusually for a story in this era, actually, I actually think it's maybe been a little bit rushed in the sense
Yeah,
that it would have
agreed.
made, I could have got into this, I could have believed it a little bit more, I think, is we'd really sort of seen Dean drip feed Gina this poison to where she slowly starts to come around to his idea of thinking. But actually, what we got was essentially Gina starts off their knowing each other by graffitiing rapist on his shop and sort of being against him, being against him, being against him. And then he sees Dean being a little bit nice to Jade because she's his dying daughter, and then sort of thinks, oh, he's clearly not that bad. And then the next time we
Yeah.
know, they're texting and having like this secret relationship.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. We've already said before, like, it seems a bit unbelievable that she
Mm.
sees Jade and then's like, oh, he's a good person. So,
Because
yeah.
it's not, and we've said this before, and I think this has been the problem with it. It's the fact that Gino is the only person on the square that believes Dean. Like even when he has stood in the middle of the Vic and played that recording, nobody believed him. That didn't work. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, it's not like she's kind of got a few people going, yeah, actually, yeah, I don't, oh, yeah, he's quite fit as well, isn't he? Yeah, maybe he's not as bad as we think he is. So, it's sort of, that might have, I think that might have helped the sort of believability of this if we'd sort of watched their relationship develop a little bit more over the
I agree.
weeks.
I think perhaps they rushed it a bit because of the build up to Christmas and him obviously being a
Yeah,
suspect, so that we'd all start going, oh,
yeah,
something's obviously going to happen with
yeah.
Gina and Dean over Christmas. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Mhm.
So they sort of have this moment where, like you say, they have this date. Dean has, by this point, kind of burst into the Vic and has decided to make this big public gesture to Gina to show his dedication and revealed their secret relationship to everybody in the family. Cindy decides to offer him 60 grand to leave Walford and never speak to Gina again, which Dean's like, possibly, but no, I'm all right, thanks. I'd rather get laid. No, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you very much. Um, so once Gina's sort of got over the anger of that, they have a sort of dinner date at his flat. Pause. New flat set, by the way,
Yeah,
which either
I was. Thank you.
which
Okay.
either suggests that Dean's staying around or someone else is moving into that flat because that's a nice flat.
Mm.
That's a nice set.
Do you think it's the ones like where Nadine lived next to the train station? It had that similar vibe to
Maybe,
me.
yeah. I was trying to work out where it could be, and I don't think we were
That's what I
really.
was trying to
Yeah,
work
I don't
out.
think we were really told where it was. It could, but it could be a redress of Nadine's flat. In all fairness, so I didn't consider that. But it's a nice set. In all fairness, so you can sort of wonder: is Dean actually sticking around, or is somebody else going to go in there where they keep that set going for a little while? I'm not sure.
Do you know what's fantastic though? It was just such a Dean flat, weren't it? Like
Very Dean
they get
flat.
there and they find the most characteristic place for them to all live. They don't like live somewhere and get a doer upper or anything,
You
do
know what the
they?
worrying thing is? I'd live in that flat. It was quite nice. I liked
It
Dean's
was no,
flat.
it is
So
not. It was
yeah, yeah.
it was quite it
Somebody
was
likes the nice. Somebody likes the nicer things in life. That's me.
yeah, that's what it were, Rob.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so they have this dinner date, and like you say, Dean's dialogue very much implies, I've made you dinner, so I think you owe me a shag. Essentially, is what he's saying, isn't it?
hmm
And
hmm
then, like I say, Gina seems to sort of take this in and sort of takes in the many times that people have told her throughout the week, he's a rapist. Do you want to not? And then sort of
Mm.
eventually seems to put it all together and then sort of tries to leave. He tries to stop her to leave. She punches him in the face and then she leaves. So I just sort of
It
think,
was. Do
go
you
on,
not think it were almost a little bit out of body for Gina? She was sat on the
maybe,
sofa and we're almost
yeah,
like an outsider, look like watching him with new
maybe, yeah,
eyes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
she
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hang on,
What am I
now
doing?
I'm seeing this.
What
What
is
is
going
going
on
on?
here?
I
Yeah,
think I'm just gonna leave,
I might go
like
now. Yeah, thanks very
yeah,
much.
the
And he's back.
olives and the antipasti wasn't that
Yeah, and
nice,
yeah, do you know what?
actually.
It turns out I don't like eel, so I'm gonna go now. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of pie and mash, and I thought you'd have made more efforts. So you work in a pie and mash shop. See you later.
Yes, so when actually that went
Actually,
yeah.
that's a thought. Is it not just above the pie and mash shop? This flat?
Oh, possibly.
Because they
Yeah,
like doing that, don't
possibly.
they? They like doing that. That might be a thing.
I mean, it'd make sense to be
It would
fair.
make sense. Anyway, wherever this flat is, it exists. We might see more of it. We might not.
Yeah,
Who
but I
knows?
did want to know where it was. I feel
I
like we
want to
should have
know.
been told that.
If
Yeah.
anybody heard something that we might have missed and knows where this
Yeah.
flat is, let us know in the comments section. Somebody made a return this week, which I was surprised about. Jade's back. I wasn't expecting to see Jade again.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
wasn't
Yeah,
expecting to
yeah.
see Jade. Yeah. So again, this keeps Dean around. It seems that Jade's having a few little fallouts with Shabnam, so she's basically done the teenage daughter thing and playing the parents off against each other. Right, I'm going to go live with Dad. You know that Dad that I hated last time I saw him. I'm going to go live with him. So Jade storms over and is basically now kind of basically staying with Dean for a little bit. So I kind of wonder, is he going to use Jade to sort of worm his way back into Gina's affections? Because those two had quite a good relationship when she was last around. That was sort of the catalyst to them getting on,
I
essentially.
think he's
So
I think he's going to try that, but I think Gina, I will be amazed if he manages to pull the wool over her eyes again. So now, if they do end up back together and he uses Jade in that way, I actually think that maybe it'll be Gina trying to get a confession out of him now.
mm,
If they go down that path again.
maybe,
I
maybe.
don't know what else they're gonna do with Jade though, other than
Is Jade fine now? Because they said
she's
that
had a lung
she's had the lung
transplant, so she's
transplant.
recovering.
And she didn't have her breathing tubes in or anything like that when she did the last time we saw her. So I think she's. Are we supposed to believe that she's okay now?
I guess once a recovery with a lung transplant's, completely done, then
Well, that's good
I
news.
would assume so, yeah.
Well, that's good news. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. So I guess we'll see where this goes. It seems that Gina has seen sense, which is kind of thank God. But at the same time, you sort of think this could have been something a bit more believable than it turned into if they'd sort of taken their time with it a little bit more, sort of done a little bit more character stuff with it, had more conversations going on between Gina and Linda. I think Linda falling off the wagon seems to have pushed Gina down the road of Linda's clearly lying and she's clearly a drunken mess.
Which
So
again doesn't add up because Gina understands addiction so well. So why is she being
yeah,
so harsh against Linda during all this?
I think the thing is we're supposed to be clinging to this thing that we know about Gina is that she likes the underdog bad boy.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
that's kind of maybe what's pushed her towards Dean. But again, I
mm.
think maybe they could have just done a little bit more of it rather than sort of. Well, hey,
And I'll tell you something. If I were Linda, I would
oh,
be
you'd be furious, wouldn't you?
I'd be expecting like, a cup
Yeah,
of tea every morning as an
yeah,
apology for
at
next year.
least.
Do you know what I mean?
It
Like,
was there was the moment between Linda and Gina where Gina basically goes okay, so sorry, I think you might be, and Linda's not interested in any of that. She's like, has he touched you, has he hurt you,
yeah.
has he attacked you? So that was
Mm.
good. Liked that. That was kind of quite, that felt very Linda to sort of instantly
Yeah,
go to
very, very.
almost the mother role actually at that moment where she's kind of like, are
Hmm.
you okay, before I start yelling at you. So that was all right, and then maybe that will sort of explore their relationship from this point because I feel like that has been damaged, their relationship, from this.
Definitely. Hmm.
So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. So yeah, a bit of a mad old week in EastEnders this week. A few questionable decisions from both characters and story, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it goes next week. Gold Star this week, Ree.
Oh God.
I know I'm going to give mine to Suki.
I would literally I decided it earlier and I
Yeah.
remembered it was
Are we
Suki.
doing this where we're not allowed to give the same gold star? I think that
I
seems
think we
fairer.
can just try not to do it every week
I think
though.
that seems
And you can't
fairer,
just
doesn't
do
it?
you can't just do that on me though when I've gone second for a change and say I'm giving it to Suki
Can
as well for this week.
you're a,
Moving forward.
you're an awkward cow, you know that,
Try
aren't you?
not to. Rob, you've done it every week.
I have
You've
not.
been like,
I
I'm
turn
giving
around.
it to say
No, because
you
I was
can't
going to
just
give it to.
decide
I
when
was
it's
going
me
to give
going
it.
second,
Who was it
sir.
you gave it to last week? Who was it you gave it to last week? And I was going to give it to the same character, and then I said, "Oh well, if you've done that, I'll go down a different route then." Can't
Right,
remember who it
well,
was.
I don't know who else to give it to because this week
It was a
has
mad
felt
week.
weird. So I'm giving it to
Yes.
Suki as well for this week.
Okay. Okay. But from this week onwards, should we give it to different people?
We'll try to, but there may
Try
be
to.
weeks where it's a blatant gold star to the
Okay.
same person.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So
You
two
heard
gold
it here
stars.
first.
There we go. So, two gold stars to Suki this week. Marvelous. Right then, ladies and gents, final segment of the podcast, as usual, is comments from you lovely people.
So our first comment is from our Instagram page from Blanger Danger, who says, Cat
Good
is
name.
spiraling again. Cat is spiraling again. I can already see it. I'm actually so worried about her because this is what she does whenever her trauma gets triggered. Nish can see it too, and he's using it to his advantage.
Yes, but I don't know whether Nish actually is using cat. I thought that was where it was going to go, but it seemed like there was almost some sort of weird, sort of genuine friendship developing between the two of them. Do you not think? I didn't think there was a massive amount of manipulation happening with Nish and Kat.
I don't know. I think at first he saw a strong woman in a vulnerable position, which is
Yeah,
why he then offered her the apartment. No, don't forget who Nish is. There must be an ulterior motive there, I
yeah,
think. I understand what
yeah.
you're saying though, because some of it does appear genuine.
That's what I
And
mean. I
no,
think
I just don't believe that Nish could have changed that quickly,
I don't think he's
to be
changed. Don't get me
honest.
wrong. I don't think he's changed,
Mm.
but I didn't get the sense that he was manipulating Kat into saying and doing what he wanted. Do you know what I mean? I think Kat was doing that quite happily on her own.
I know what you're saying, but maybe he's allowing that to happen at the start, and then maybe if they do develop into something, he's looking at how she works so that he can
Mm,
figure it out. I don't know. I just don't buy that he'd just be nice, to
yeah,
be honest, and have a
there you
nice,
go.
genuine friendship with a woman. I just don't
No,
believe it. But
no, very unlikely. Louise Clare has said, Nish and Kat is just not working for me, and in a week, Phil has already given up and resorted to nasty comments. Surely he will be good for a few quid to rent the flat for Kat and the boys if he loves them as much as he made out. In a way, it's comforting to see nasty Nish resurfacing. It was all getting a bit unsettling, but oh my god, the six wouldn't last 5 minutes in a police interrogation. They would if it's Walford Police, Louise. We know this. Yes.
You've got a point, actually. over there, Rob. Yeah, they might.
They
The
might.
five might be okay.
The 5.5. 5.5.
Yeah.
Sharon's done right,
Yeah.
I think. I think Sharon's done the perfectly sensible thing. Perfectly
I mean,
sensible
she
thing.
has. She
You can't
has,
get
but
much further away
also,
than from the
you don't
situation
think
that
it's
Sharon currently is.
you don't think it's missing Sharon there?
I do
Like,
actually, yeah. It felt a bit weird about Sharon this week. It feels like it doesn't. I get it, all right. The Tisha Dean's on a break for
same.
whatever reason, so they can't get around that.
Mm,
It's unfortunate timing, if anything, but they can't do anything about it. But
mm.
it does feel a little bit odd without Sharon there. So hopefully Sharon will return fairly soon, so the story can sort of go back to, I suspect, the way that it's supposed to be going. Because I
I
think
do
it's
think that comment that sorry as well, that comment's got a point about Phil. Like he has why wouldn't he just say, well, I'll give you a bit of money to tie you over. Instead, it's like you're the enemy straight
because
away, Kat. I didn't even do
yeah,
anything that bad.
yeah, but I feel I see. Weirdly, I didn't think Phil was that out of character this week. I thought that he was. I
Oh,
think he would have done that until he saw Nish and Kat sitting in the restaurant,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
got his pride hurt.
Yeah, but he's not tried to do it before Kat and
No,
Nish though. He's not offered to give her any money and help her out at all.
did
Or
he
like
perhaps think?
I
Did he
think I
perhaps?
said
Did he?
last week,
Yeah. Did he perhaps think that Kat was just going to come back? Was just waiting for that to
maybe
happen.
didn't want to help her
Maybe.
out in
Yeah.
case.
In
But
case.
like I said to
Yeah.
you, he should have been the one who said, "I'll leave the house and you and the boys have it
Yeah,
until
I
you
don't think
find something."
Phil was never going to do this.
I
Phil was
know, I
never going to do that in
know,
a
I'm not
million years,
kidding.
was he? Uh,
Or
um,
maybe he's going to, and then that's how his exit will happen, and he'll go and stay with Grant in Portugal for a bit or something.
we shall have to wait and see, potentially. If you would like to get in touch with us, then you, my lovely little listeners and viewers, you can do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Instagram and Twitter at E20 After Dark. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Albert Square After Dark, and find us on all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
After Dark! Marvellous. Thank you very much,
Cheers, Rob.
That's all right, love. So, After Dark! Do your Geordie impression for the lovely listeners and viewers again?
Why, I pet on Gandinton.
There you go. That's Reed's Geordie impression, and we
I'm a
apologise
Geordie
to.
now.
Yep, we apologise to anybody from Newcastle
Oh,
who
yeah,
may or may
sorry
not
if
be
you
listening.
are.
There we are then. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We should be back same time next week, and we can't wait to see you. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.